The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Good morning to everyone watching or listening. Welcome to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of the co-hosts, and to my right is a man whose next opponent is Jake Paul. Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are we doing today?
My hair does kind of look like how Logan's looked on the top last night, you know. Did I watch that fight? Yes. Am I still recovering? Yes. Are we going to get into it? Sure. But I'm doing well. I just might have a certain kind of coffee in my cup. I'm here. I'm ready. I'm excited for week 11 of the NFL season. And most importantly, I'm excited to sit down and talk with you and see what kind of hijinks we can get into. How are you this morning, sir?
I'm doing all right. I did not watch the Logan Paul fight because I don't have Netflix. So I cut my subscription a while ago when I wasn't really watching a whole lot. And, you know, people are talking about this fight. Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be Tyson Paul. It's going to be 60-year-old, 50-year-old, 58-year-old man taking on a guy who trash talks all time and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah. I'm just going to watch a documentary on the Quebec separation referendum from 1995 instead.
Oh, man, I still remember that. I had to in 6th grade. Or it might have been 5th grade because I had Mrs. Madrazo 2 years in a row. Shout out to Mrs. Madrazo. To this day, one of my favorite teachers. But we had to make a political cartoon. And mine, because I couldn't think of anything else because I didn't have an original thought, was the Quebec separation referendum, and I drew a little picture of Jean Chrétien and other people trying to pull with a rope to keep it together. You know, it was she was like, for example, you could do that, and I was just like, 5th, 6th grade B was like, I'm gonna do that.
Jean Chrétien trying to pull Quebec back into United States, back into Canada. I remember the whole thing. I was into it because I took French in high school, so I was immersed in that. I went doing a couple class trips to Quebec and Montreal, especially, and I remember them saying that if they had voted yes, the maritime provinces, being Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Newfoundland, they were going to apply for stateship. They're going to apply for you to be U.S. states.
Oh, okay.
So it was there's a lot of things that could have come about if they had voted yes, but thankfully they voted no, and Quebec is still in Canada, although there's 30 years later. Almost 30 years later. God, I'm old.
Me too, man. Me too.
Not as old as me. But yeah, so that was my night last night. After 12 football talk, extra.
I did see a couple clips from the show, but last night I was at a local watering hole catching up with somebody after work, and then the fight started at the bar because this thing started at 8:00 and it went all the way, which I'll get into later. There were problems which caused I did not finish watching this thing until 12:30. It was a long sojourn through, and I feel like an idiot. But on the subject of the political cartoons, I have to give a quick shout out to one of my classmates from that class because he came up with a great idea. If you remember, Ryan, this time-wise, this was around the strike-shortened season as well of 1994. So same type of deal. And he drew a bunch of baseball players with celery on their head, and then he said, "What are these celery caps anyway?" And for fifth or sixth grade, I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. You got to give it to him.
That's fantastic. All right, before we get into everything else in this episode, let's just remind the people at home kindly to follow us on social media. We have Facebook, facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, Twitter, Instagram, seriously use TikTok @NoCredsREQ, youtube.com/@NoCredsREQ. On the podcast side, you can subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcast platform you are on, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, TuneIn, iHeart, Pandora, and don't forget to get notified. Hit that notification bell on Twitter. I still refuse to call it X, and on YouTube. That way you know when we're live. Rate and review on the podcast side. Rate and review. A 5-star rating would be very helpful. A review would be helpful. A comment on Spotify would be very helpful as well. That way the show gets out there. People know about it. Tell a friend. Tell a friend, Telegram, tell a wrestler. Shout out Bruce.
Shout out Conrad.
Conrad and Bruce Pritchard.
Yeah.
Show. Let people know about the show. And engage with us. We got some comments in the comment section already. We'll talk about them in a second, but we're a live show. I had to push things forward a little bit on set for today. But we're also live on Tuesdays at 7:05 Eastern. We'll be back to our regular 7:05.
Yeah. Yeah, every once in a while, I still stumble and go for the 8, but yeah.
But leave a comment. Leave a comment if you're watching live or you're watching on the replay, whether on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, on Rumble. Leave us a comment, and I'm gonna play that magical sound. It's a great wake up sound. Gets me going. I know it gets you going too, there, Dustin.
Oh yeah, it's chime time.
It's chime time. All right, let's get to the comments. So Mr. Kevin Wilson from Belly Up Fantasy Sports, he asks you how excited you are to see the Seahawks playing the 49ers this week.
Spoiler, we're going to get into it at the end of the show, Kevin. My quest to weave the Seahawks and jam them into every show that we've done for the past 5 weeks or so. I've done it again.
Another Kevin in the chat, Kevin M, saying, I've made the sports ball.
Congratulations. Yay. We're happy to have you.
Mr. Wilson saying, I didn't miss anything in the fight. Dustin, I'll have Dustin talk about that in a second. Kevin M saying some great NFL matchups this week. I'm partial to Steelers versus Ravens. Steelers are getting Herbig back to replace the injured Highsmith. Interested to see how Mike Williams gets more involved this week too. Yeah, that's actually we'll talk about foreshadowing. We'll talk about that as well. Sick Diggy joining us from Norway, saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. He also says it's Ryan, it's best to call upon the Lord of the Nordic heathens. Call upon the Lord. The Nordic heathens are at the gate. Because is it because it's Black Month in Norway? Is that why? Yeah. Oh, he's talking about the Minnesota Vikings. And he says I'm not a fan of the Vikings. He's just clowning around. And he says the best fight last night was between Netflix and buffering. So let's talk about that. Before we go into hot food takes, we'll spend a little time here. We'll camp a little bit here. The Tyson Paul fight. Like I said, I'm not a Netflix subscriber anymore, so I did not watch. But Dustin, you alluded to the fact that you watched. So
yeah,
what happened?
Well, okay. So first, let me say that there is no universe in which I would have paid for this. Okay. The fact that I had Netflix is the reason I tuned in. And this was also a test bed for me, because even though I still vehemently disagreed with it, Netflix has the rights to 2 streaming NFL games on Christmas Day. Yeah. And again, I hate this. Put it so that everybody can watch. Stop putting it behind a paywall. Does it change because I have Amazon Prime and I have Netflix and this time it's on Netflix? No, don't do this. But I also wanted to watch to see how Netflix handled live events, how it happened. But I will admit I was intrigued. I, like many, I think, was hoping that Tyson would get into the Wayback Machine for one night and just shut Jake Paul up. And I will say the presentation looked all right for the most part. The first fight, the first prelim, I missed a lot of that one. I was out at a bar with a friend. We were drinking, we were catching up after work, and I was not focused on the fight, to say the least. But then I went home. You know, we parted ways, and I just said, I may as well watch this thing. And side note, I ordered McDonald's as well because it was later, and I didn't feel like cooking. So I was sitting there and eating McDonald's and watching this, and it was not like, it didn't make for a great marriage. At the end of the night, McDonald's always makes you feel, and I don't know if you feel the same way, Ryan, but when I eat McDonald's, when I have a craving for it, nothing will satisfy that craving except for McDonald's. But then when I eat it, like it's the most, like in the moment, I am happy. And this was good McDonald's. It was quality McDonald's. Nothing against McDonald's. I still stand by their nuggets. Hot mustard is the dipping sauce to rule them all. But as soon as I finished the McDonald's, like, I was just kind of like, I felt empty after. Like I could have eaten a whole other meal after it. Like in the moment, I am happy eating McDonald's, but then shortly after, I don't want to say that I have regrets, but that's kind of what it feels like. And I don't know if you feel the same way. And I kind of felt the same way about this fight, you know, to relate it all back. I have a tendency to ramble, and I'm in my zone right now. But that's how I felt about this, because the prelims, the welterweight fight was awesome between the Barrios and Ramos. That was a good fight. That was just a straight up boxing match, and Barrios was winning in the early rounds convincingly, but Ramos hung in there, and he almost came back to take the fight. They both knocked each other down one time. They both had some good flurries and some exchanges, but Barrios had more reach. And then I watched the Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano fight. Guess what? Amanda Serrano got robbed. I don't know if you heard anything about this, Ryan, but
I saw a quote about headbutting.
Yes, Katie Taylor was headbutting Serrano. She did it twice. And, you know, Serrano's trainers were not happy. Her corner called them out after and said that Katie was fighting dirty. And the judges gave the fight to Taylor, which I was rooting for Taylor coming into this one. I don't know why. I just was like, hey, this lady has a lot of belts. I'd like to see her keep them all. But it was clear Serrano won the fight convincingly for me. And the judges were like, hey, it was Taylor. And I'm like, what the hell? I don't know much about boxing, but I was like, what the hell were they watching? And the announcers, get this, Ryan, guess who was on commentary? Rosie Perez was part of the commentary.
Oh, wow. That's a blast from the past.
Though I didn't know this. Shout out to Rosie Perez. Still looking great. But
good for her.
And then they had Roy Jones Jr. He was part of the commentary team, and like widely they all thought like Serrano won this fight. Like there was no debate, but the judges gave it to Taylor. Taylor held herself, you know, she wasn't a slouch in there, but it was clear Serrano won this fight when you watched it. Then we get to the main event, and I got swept up in it for a second. I was like, all Tyson needs to do is come out in the first round, and if he has any semblance of the skills he used to have, he could knock him out, you know. And they had celebrities there, of course. They're interviewing Shaq, they're interviewing Gronk, and everybody's saying like, we hope Tyson knocks him out. I missed this part because it was buffering during it, but apparently we all saw Mike Tyson's behind during one of the interview segments. So that was a real thing that happened. But yeah, the buffering was horrific. Slightly in Netflix's defense, I've never had an issue with Netflix prior to this, but it was clear many people were watching this fight because it like crashed. It crashed Netflix. I was getting errors. I was getting buffering, and it would always happen at the most inopportune times. So was I that pathetic idiot that got his iPad out and was trying to watch while the PlayStation wasn't working, and then I would switch back and forth between the two? Yes. And that might have contributed to the empty feeling I felt after this fight, because once this fight started, Tyson came out. He tried to dash. He tried to bum rush Paul early, like he used to do back in the day. But it became very clear Mike Tyson's legs are gone, and he just couldn't hit. His arms looked okay, and his punches. I mean, you could tell he was 58 years old, but you could also tell like power's still there. But it became very sad to watch because Paul was he's 27 years old and he's going up against a 58-year-old man. Mm-hmm. Even though that 58-year-old man was once considered the baddest man on the planet, he's still it just became clear like, oh, you're fighting an old man. Like and people and Roy Jones Jr. said it after, or maybe it was Cedric the Entertainer, who was also on one of like the broadcast teams for some reason. He was like, the crowd was kind of confused. Or I think it was another boxer that said this quote, I think, after the fight. He said the crowd was kind of confused. They booed Paul roundedly because they didn't want him to win the fight. Everybody in here wanted Mike to somehow hit him with a punch and knock him out, but then when it became clear that this fight was just, it was sad. It was sad to watch, and people started to become concerned for Mike on the commentary team. Even Roy Jones Jr. was saying, I fought him in 2020 and his legs were much better than this. Like he said at one point, he said he doesn't have it anymore. His legs are gone. Like this is over. So, and
was this kind of like I don't mean to interrupt you here, but I know you're weaving here. You're bobbing and weaving.
I am.
But was this kind of like I had to think. I got two thoughts on this while you're describing the fight.
Yeah,
it reminds me of. Did you ever watch Rocky Balboa?
I haven't watched Rocky Balboa yet.
Okay, you gotta watch that.
I am not current. Like Rocky 4 is as far as I've gone, so I haven't seen any of the recents.
Yeah, skip Rocky 5.
Yeah,
it's a crap show. Go to Rocky Balboa. It's from 2006, almost 20 years. My God,
that's
20
crazy.
Years. It's almost 20 years old. But in that, I'll give you a little bit. I won't give a whole thing away. But Rocky is inspired to fight. He lives in Philadelphia. He owns his restaurant.
Yeah,
he's going through things with his son. They killed off Adrian. Just want to give you a heads up on that. They killed off Adrian. But Talia Shire was like, yeah, that's the way I wanted it to go. Even though she was the most annoying character in the whole in the series. You can't win. Doubting Adrian. But he gets inspired because, and this is actually kind of foreshadowing too in a couple of ways, because you had ESPN hyping, what if Rocky Balboa went against Mason the Line Dixon? That was the boxer's name. Mason the Line Dixon.
That's terrible.
Played by Antonio Tarver. I believe who was also an ex boxer himself. But we have, that's ESPN doing their thing on SportsCenter, trying to hype up a hypothetical.
Yeah,
that is just it's never going to happen. Because I remember the comparisons between what if Mike Tyson were to fight Muhammad Ali in his prime, and they tried to do a simulation of that, and it's like, no,
yeah, you can't.
So it was kind of like this, where Rocky Balboa stepped into the ring at roughly the same age as Mike Tyson,
yeah,
going up against Jake Paul, who was roughly the same age as Antonio Tarver, so or Mason the Line Dixon. So I kind of remember. It kind of went in my memory banks a little bit. And then you talk about Netflix. This was, and you're right. You're absolutely right. This is a dress rehearsal for Christmas Day when they're broadcasting not one, but two NFL games. One of them is going to be terrible because it's the Raiders, who are just god awful, against the Chiefs. It's going to be a blowout. I think the other one was was it Ravens Steelers?
It's Ravens Texans, I think. Ravens Texans.
Real time research.
Ravens Texans, and I think the Chiefs might be going up against the Steelers, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm trying to
do some real time research.
Raiders Chiefs was last year Christmas Day. That was that big update.
Yeah, that was a big upset. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. It's Chiefs Steelers, and then at 4:30 it's Ravens Texans. So yeah, this was definitely you're definitely right in that this fight is a dress rehearsal for what they might be able to accomplish or not accomplish for the NFL when they broadcast both those games.
Jerry Jones was on the broadcast last night because it was at Cowboy Stadium. Jerry World there. But yeah, it just became very sad to watch, and it was clear, at least to me, and I'm not educated on boxing all that well, although Sick in the comments is saying power is the last to go, and when you get old, speed is one of the first things to go. I would agree with that. But it just, people became concerned for Mike, and then it was clear to me that Jake Paul could have knocked him out and did not. You know, he kind of held back a little bit. And after the fight, Jake Paul was respectful towards Mike Tyson and stuff, and because they interviewed both of them in the ring. But it was just sad, and it felt like me after demolishing that McDonald's. In the moment, I was happy, and in the build up to the fight, I was happy. But once it was over, and all the buffering issues and everything that happened, you know, I felt that emptiness. And after the fight, Mike, they're like, "Are you done? Is this it for you?" And he goes, I don't know. It depends if the situation is right." And I'm going, "Oh man." Like, do not do this again, Mike, because
don't Apollo Creed yourself, Mike.
Yeah, it's one of those things. He had a medical emergency a month before this.
He did. Like, that's probably one of the reasons why his legs were gone, because he had that medical. He had, I think, was it diverticulitis? It was an ulcer. It was an ulcer. He had an ulcer, and he was spent some time in the hospital for that. So I wonder if that had to factor in his legs being jello if they were as they were.
Yeah.
All right.
And I mean, both men got paid for this. Both of them got a huge bag, and
and that sick thing he says at the end of the day, both men got paid, not paid, paid.
Yeah,
they got the bag.
Yeah, and I mean, okay. Part of it is too that I felt like they got me. Like, I got swept up in the nostalgia for like half a second. I was like, if this thing goes 1 or 2 rounds, Mike's got a shot. But then it just became clear that he was shot. Like, it was over, and it just felt bad. And like I said, to me, Jake Paul could have easily knocked him out, but he didn't. He held back, and I think that boxer was straight on in his assessment. The crowd did not want to boo Mike, but they were not happy with the outcome of this fight. So the crowd didn't really know what to do. They booed Paul and they cheered Mike heartedly when they were making their entrances. But once the fight turned and it became clear what it was going to be. And if you didn't see this fight, now that it's like stored in Netflix, in the Netflix servers, go back and fast forward. The commentators are legitimately concerned. There is like legit concern. Everybody started to worry something bad could have happened to Mike in here. Something bad. So I do have to say, a lot of people were saying it was staged. People were talking about a script got leaked for it, blah, 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 on the internet, all this garbage.
Oy vey.
The one thing that I have to say, and I am no Jake Paul fan, but there's 2 things. One, the guy is a genius because he makes people hate him, and people keep tuning in, waiting for him to get knocked out, but it's never going to come because he's very strategic in picking his fights. He's not fighting like current boxers. He is fighting former MMA fighters, a 58-year-old Mike Tyson. These are not like, boxing fighters in their prime. So he's going to keep doing this, and he's going to keep getting money. Like, after the fight, they said, "You've called out Canelo in previous interviews. Like, are you willing to say it here?" And he didn't. But you got to take your hats off to the marketing genius that it is. He makes people hate him, and people want to see him get knocked out, and people keep paying for these fights.
Yeah.
And I don't think this was staged. But the second thing I have to take my hat off to him for is he could have hurt Mike Tyson, and he did not. That was my reading on the fight. He did not go full tilt. After the fight, he's like, "Oh, I was afraid he was going to hurt me if I got too close, so I didn't do it." But
Excuse me.
he could have hurt, given the age gap and how gone Mike's legs were. He really could have hurt him, and I'm glad that he, at least to my eye, did not capitalize, because he could have, and I've gone too long on this, so
yeah. Well, let's go some comments, and we'll go to hot food takes, and we'll take a quick break. So
yeah.
Kevin Wilson saying, "Tell it, Dustin." Oh, he also said Kevin Wilson plugging his article on Belly Up Fantasy Sports about Mike Williams. Sick wanted to join the conversation, but we got a tight schedule today. So sorry, Sick. We would have loved to have you, but we got football to talk about today. It's Kevin Wilson saying, "Tell it, Dustin. I'm tired of football being behind paywalls as well, and I have Netflix and Prime. And don't forget, when Prime started out broadcasting the Thursday night games, that was a rough.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was rough too.
It was terrible. Yeah. It couldn't even. They didn't even have a first down line when they started broadcasting. It was crazy.
No, it didn't. Six saying Barrios and Ramos was a great fight. Taylor and Serrano was controversial to say the least.
Yeah, Serrano won that fight.
So Rosie Perez joining Roy Jones Jr. and Mauro Ranallo, formerly of Pride and WWE. Yeah, and you mentioned Jake Paul. Logan Paul was a heel in WWE, and he's actually not that bad of a wrestler.
Yeah, no, you got to give it to him. He's very talented. Even fellow wrestlers are like, we can't believe how fast he picked everything up. So.
And sick job of them comments in the chat. We can't get to every one of them, Sick, but he says the Paul brothers are notorious for drawing heat. They understand that negativity pays. Yeah, that's Jake Paul. Jake Paul did it is doing it in the boxing ring, and Logan Paul's doing it in WWE. He did it pretty well. So, not bad, but hopefully this is Mike Tyson. Tyson takes a step back from this match, because when you're being interviewed after post-fight, you see guys getting interviewed on sidelines, off the ice, off the court. They're full of adrenaline. So at that moment, they're not thinking. They're starting to come down from that rush. So I understand that Mike Tyson saying, "I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know where I'm going to go from here. Let's talk about it later." I'm sorry. That's a bad impression of Mike Tyson.
We got to clip that.
If I found out who has a good impression of Mike Tyson's Ben Shapiro, I was like, wow, that's pretty good.
Oh, really?
Because they're the same tonal, same tonal structure in their voice. It's hysterical.
That's the register. I still remember Tom Segura's. He surprised me with his from that bit.
It's all love. All right, that's going to take us into the newest installment of Hot Food Takes. 100% beef. Don't go to that club in Hamilton, Ontario, if it still exists. I don't know if it still exists. We went to a strip club called Beef.
Oh, man.
All right, so Dustin contributed on this edition of Hot Food Takes. Today's Hot Food Takes is Pop-Tarts versus Toaster Strudel. And I'm going to ask him why he thought of this one, and which of these. I have a feeling this is going to be a one-way. This is going to be a one-way. I know. It's going to be a one-way. There's going to be no debate on this one. But yeah, go ahead, Dustin. What hot food takes? Toaster strudel versus Pop-Tarts.
All right. Well, full disclosure, I was listening to another podcast before our podcast as I was getting ready.
How dare you?
As I was brewing up.
Just kidding.
A cup of Invader coffee. We'll get to them later. So I loved Pop-Tarts when I was a kid. Okay. And basically this podcast was talking about how ridiculous Pop-Tart flavors have gotten. They were talking about how it's straight up like dessert now. Like they had like frosted Boston cream donuts, Pop-Tarts, and like all these crazy flavors. When Ryan and I were coming up in these streets, as D Willie likes to say,
I appreciate that.
we did not have all these flavors, did we, Ryan? But
No.
I still, and you got to love the 80s and 90s marketing. They would have this huge breakfast and then like 2 Pop-Tarts on a plate, and they'd be like part of a balanced breakfast. And I was like, I need these Pop-Tarts.
Yeah,
I got to get them.
exactly.
And so my favorite is frosted blueberry. That's a Hall of Fame. I'll eat it hot or cold. Toaster strudels tried to come aggressively with the marketing, but I'm team Pop-Tart all the way. Pop-Tart's versatility, they're easy, they're like quick to this day, and I don't know why my auto mechanic did this, but when I take it to the dealership, because I have a Subaru, everybody, and I like Subaru genuine parts in my vehicle. I'm sorry about that. I am aware.
I have a cruel joke for this, but I'm gonna save it for later.
Okay, all right.
About the fact that you drive a Subaru.
Hey, man, a lot of people like to come at me for driving Subarus. Amanda used to, I can't say what Amanda used to call me on the air for driving a Subaru, but she basically, she said, "Oh, there are 2 types of people that like Subarus." She's like hikers and lesbians. So she used to call me one. You can guess which one, but
probably not a hiker.
Yeah. So anyway, so anyway, I drive a Subaru. But even when I used to be sitting, they took their vending machine out, Ryan, which I don't know why. I don't know why they don't have their vending machine in there anymore. But I was getting a Pop-Tart even at this age because I'm like, I didn't have time to eat breakfast right before I came here. So I'm just gonna grab a little Pop-Tart, hot or cold. I'll take it anyway. I might even prefer it cold because I'm too lazy to heat it up. That's the real thing.
That's okay.
But Pop-Tarts 100%. I've had toaster strudels. To me, they're in like a different category, but as sad as it sounds, it's too much work. You got to like frost it yourself. Come on. And toaster strudels, you can't eat those cold, They don't have the versatility.
No, because they're frozen.
Yeah.
As for me, I'm team Pop-Tart. I remember we didn't have Pop-Tarts growing up, which I was totally robbed of the Pop-Tart experience as a child. We had strudels. We had the toaster strudel.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, why? What's this? What's this toaster strudel? And I understand where you're coming from with having to toast it and then put the icing on yourself. And I'm like, all right, let's get diabetes for breakfast. Awesome. Very cool. Go with my giant glass of orange juice and the sugary cereal that I probably just ate as well.
Yeah.
Let's get me some let's start my insulin resistance early. But I was robbed of the Pop-Tart experience.
Oh man.
When I was a kid, we didn't get Pop-Tarts. I didn't have my first Pop-Tart probably until I was in my teens.
I might have to talk to your parent. I'm going to be like, why did you deprive them of the Pop-Tart experience? The Pop-Tart experience. It's a very local joke. I'm sorry, everybody.
Yeah, if you're local to the 518 Capital Region area, you'll get it. You'll get that. You'll get that song. You'll get that tone. You'll get that tone. But no, for me, it's Pop-Tarts because Pop-Tarts you can find. Like you said, you can find them in the vending machine. They're right on the spot. They're a great snack. You don't have to heat them. You don't have to heat them up. Also, unfrosted Pop-Tarts can go back to hell where they belong. They are from Satan.
Yeah.
They are from Satan. Send them back to where they belong. Preach it. Hallelujah.
Yeah. I agree. Or even worse.
Pop-Tarts back.
Or even worse. Oh, the brown sugar Pop-Tart from Kevin M. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Brown sugar's a good one. Brown sugar's a good one. But for me, I know you mentioned blueberry. Blueberry is one of my top 3.
All right.
Cherry.
Okay, cherry Pop-Tarts.
I'm a big fan of cherry Pop-Tarts.
All right,
cherry Pop-Tarts.
You and my sister are lockstep in that one. I don't think I've had a Pop-Tart much more recently than she has, but I think cherry was her jam, frosted cherry back in the day. But yeah, even worse, Ryan, and special shout out to Dad because you tried. But when my parents first got divorced, Dad moved into an apartment, and we would be there on Saturdays, and he was like, "Oh, the kids like these Pop-Tarts," but he used to go to this grocery store. I can't remember. I can't believe the name of. I think it was called Star Market or something like that. I got to ask my sister; it's escaping me. But he got their brand of Pop-Tarts, and he's like, "Oh, I got you those Pop-Tarts that you like."
No.
I was like, "No, these aren't it. These aren't it. I'm sorry. They were awful. They were awful."
Yeah, I haven't had Great Value. Maybe I have had the Great Value Pop-Tarts.
Ooh.
I don't know.
Yeah.
This might have to be a no breakfast, no kitchen required. Where
Should we
try
get some Pop-Tarts and
get
some
Pop-Tarts and rank them?
All right. We could do that. Let's do that.
Yeah, because they have the wild and crazy ones now. I don't know if you watch. Yeah, I don't know if you got into you know who Matt Mitchell is. He's a YouTuber.
Okay.
And he used to be on It's a Southern Thing, but they furloughed him, and he did his own. He's doing his own thing now. You just bless your rank, which I love.
Is he the guy that was like trying the Mountain Dews or whatever?
Yes.
Okay.
He was doing the Mountain Dews. He was doing the whiskeys, the energy drinks. Yeah, that's on It's a Southern Thing, but this is his own standalone channel now because he got let go from them, which sucks because he was basically the one who's bringing them in. But he ranked Pop-Tarts, and that was a pretty good episode of Pop-Tart of ranking, his blessing and ranking, as he would say. So shout out Matt Mitchell. Come on the show, man. I know right now it's SEC football season, but you're more than you have an open invitation. But yeah, he did a ranking of Pop-Tarts, and some of them I agree. You know, rankings are subjective, so
yeah.
You know, it's always a subjective thing. But let's go through some comments before we get to a commercial break. Kevin M saying, "This is just nostalgia for me as a non-boxing fan. Mike Tyson. He's a pop culture reference from the Hangover movie and the tiger and his character." Tigers love black pepper. They hate. No. It was Zach Galifianakis' character saying, "Yeah, tigers love black pepper. They hate cinnamon." Sick asking you if you remember Richard Sherman getting all hyped up to the Seahawks beat the 49ers in the playoffs.
Oh, of course. Try me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree. That's what you're going to get. Yeah, of course I remember that. I mean, that plays in my head every once in a while as I just pulled
Aaron Andrews being all befuddled and like,
who was talking about you?
It's one of the greatest. Who are you talking about? Talking about him. Talking about him. I can cover him. You can't get away from me. It's a sorry receiver. Stick to you asking toaster strudels? Yes.
Yeah.
United States of America. Yeah. We've got everything. Including toaster strudels. Kevin M saying toaster strudel was slightly before my time, to be fair. To be fair, with judging. So, but he also mentioned that original brown sugar. That's in the top 3 as well.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, so yeah, top 3 for me: cherry, blueberry, brown sugar.
All right, top 3 for me. We're gonna go blueberry, brown sugar, frosted strawberry. You know, the basic ones. Like I was saying, we didn't have all these crazy ones that we have now.
No, like s'mores and peanut butter and jelly. And
that's what we should do, Ryan. For No Kitchen Required, we should rank the crazy new ones, and then we'll have to cut our foot off after.
Well, I have my metformin, so you can take some of mine.
Okay, all right.
You gotta stay off the insulin resistance. Stick was asking, "What in the apple cinnamon Cheerios?"
Apparently, they have Applejack flavored Pop-Tarts, which I'm trying that.
You know, I was 47 years old when I realized that all the flavors of Fruit Loops, they're all the same. They're just different colors.
Yeah. That Toucan Sam follow your nose stuff was bullshit.
You lied to me, Toucan Sam. Lied to me. Why are you suing? I love that Family Guy. I love that Family Guy clip. Why are you suing Count Chocula? Captain Crunch.
Oh yeah,
Count Chocula.
Yeah.
Because that rotten son of a bitch tells kids that my cereal cuts the insides of their mouths.
Yeah. He said he's been spreading lies. My cereal does not cut the roof of your mouth when you eat it. Something like that.
And that's been this edition of Hot Food Takes.
And according to a comedy bit by 1K Trevor Wilson, he said there are 3 main ingredients in Captain Crunch: crack cocaine, sugar, and fiberglass.
Yes, I love that dude. He's my favorite. He played my favorite character on Letterkenny, Squirrely Dan. He's an awesome comic too.
Yeah, I would go see him.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we're gonna get out of. I'm sorry, not gonna get out of here. We're gonna take a quick commercial.
We should. We've been going for almost 40 minutes.
We almost 40 minutes between the Tyson fight and Pop-Tarts.
Yeah.
And Subarus. We're gonna take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about Thursday Night Football and also preview the rest of Week 11. Week 11, the NFL. Stay tuned for more. No credentials required. Stand by. Oh, got the wrong button. Damn it. I need more coffee. This episode of No Credentials Required is brought to you by Invader Coffee. For the coffee lover who wants good, quality coffee with no bullshit and no filler, Invader Coffee is an ultra-premium, veteran-owned coffee company proudly delivering only the best coffee your hard-earned money can buy. They aim to only serve the highest quality, organic, air-roasted coffee beans sourced from free trade farms all over the world. They keep things simple. The best coffee at an affordable price in order to provide you with the value you deserve for your morning boost. 100% fair trade, 100% organic coffee beans, 100% air-roasted, 100% money-back guarantee. Visit invadercoffee.com, enter promo code BELLYUP at checkout, and receive 15% off your order. No, I had the right banner. Okay, hit the right button that time. Invader Coffee, one of our longtime sponsors with affiliate sponsors with No Credentials Required. I got a confession to make, Dustin. I ran out of coffee about a week or so ago, and I saw the bag I bought for you, the pumpkin pecan I bought for you.
All right.
I used it, but then I bought another one. I've got that one waiting for you tomorrow. It's in the package. So
all right. I was gonna say, hey man, if you need to replace it, the holiday ones are coming soon. Cookie Crumbles, one of my favorites.
Yeah. No, but I've got a bag of pumpkin pecan waiting for you tomorrow when we see each other at the hockey game. But Invader Coffee, as that handsome man in the voiceover says, 100% air roasted. It's air roasted, so you get none of that bitterness, none of that acidity that you would get with regular store-bought brands like Bulgers and Taxwell Mouse and Carducks.
Taxwell Mouse. That mouse comes out of that. He taxes you. It taxes you for drinking it. Drink Invader instead.
It's like, all right, here's some cheese. But Invader Coffee, it's the best coffee your money can buy. Listen, it's good coffee is hard to come by these days. You know, you get your stuff in a hurry. Where do you go to a convenience store? Where do you go to a big store, a big coffee brand? You get yourself a Keurig cup from from your local supermarket. Good coffee is hard to come by. Invader Coffee is some of the best coffee your hard-earned money can buy. If they're not satisfied, it's 100% money back guarantee. This is a veteran-owned company, and if you love your country, you love your veterans who have fought for your freedom, who have defended your freedom, get yourself some Invader Coffee. So what you want to do is go to the link in the description, and you're going to go to our affiliate link, shop around for some coffee. They're refilling their stock, so they're refilling their stocks. So check in every day. But get yourself some great coffee. Use promo code BELLYUP at checkout. You pay a little bit more for the shipping, but that's okay. It comes in a matter of days. They freshly roast it. They put it in the bag. They send it to your house. It'll be there in a matter of days. Whether you like it whole bean so you can grind it yourself, or you want it ground so you can have that convenience, it's up to you. It's up to you. They also got some pretty cool gear too. So go to Invader Coffee. Go to the link in the description. It's our affiliate link for the show. And again, use promo code BELLYUP at checkout. You get 15% off your order, so you save a little bit of coin that goes towards your shipping. And just buy yourself some great coffee. Buy yourself some great coffee. Invader Coffee is good stuff. Great brand, owned by some great people. You're not going to regret it. Invader Coffee. Thanks for being a affiliate sponsor with No Credentials Required and with Belly Up Sports. All right, we're going to quickly review the Thursday night football game between the Commanders and the Eagles. I did not watch this game. But I'll give you some insight because I looked at the highlights.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Eagles have finally seemed to find what their identity is on offense.
Yeah.
And it doesn't go through Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, I believe his success will come as a facilitator, more like a game manager, now that he has Saquon Barkley in the offensive backfield. And Saquon Barkley's having another great game. Had another great game on Thursday night, 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards. And it takes the lid off of Jalen Hurts. I know Jalen Hurts because he's got his receivers, he's got his Devontae Smiths, he's got his AJ Brown.
Mm-hmm.
He's got great receivers, but you use your running game to an advantage. You can free yourself up to use those talented receivers. But right now, this offense is all about Saquon Barkley, and that's where the success on the offense is coming from for the Eagles. I know Eagles fans will not be satisfied because of Nick Sirianni and his decision making, but in this game, it just seemed like the road went through Saquon Barkley, and that's where their success, I think, their offensive success lies for the rest of the season. And their defense, also give a shout out to their defense. Their defense did a good thing too. They limited Jalen Daniels. They limited the run game for the Commanders. So that's my brief assessment of this game. Dustin, what was your take on this game?
Well, I agree with you. I didn't see the majority of the game. I did see some of the game. It was another thing where I had plans on Thursday. I came home and turned the game on after that. Nobody cares, but I have worries about my 2 fantasy teams. I'm going up against Mr. Scott Mastriani, who's first place in the money league that I'm in this week. And Jaden Daniels was limited, especially for the standard that he has set early in his career. The Eagles defense did a good job of limiting him in this game. And I looked at some of the stats after the game, and I noticed that Austin Eckler had 89 yards receiving out of the backfield and a good number of receptions, which indicates to me that they were getting to Jaden Daniels a little bit and getting pressure, so he had to dump the ball off or throw some screens or whatever. But yeah, I mean, Saquon Barkley is the fulcrum of this Eagles offense, no question about it. And no disrespect to the Giants, I mean, but I think we all kind of forgot how good of an athlete Saquon Barkley was and is because of the fact that Giants offensive line was not on the level of this offensive line. So they would hand it to Saquon and he would get 4 yards or something, and you'd be like, what the heck? But then you realize now, looking back on it, he probably should have got -3 yards, and he turned a net loss into a gain. That seemed like a lot of his years with the Giants. And we got to check on Mr. Mara's sleep cycles, because he said in Hard Knocks, I'm going to lose sleep. Oh, he's losing it, because Saquon is keeping this Eagles team afloat and helping them with the turmoil. And Jalen Hurts, he goes out of his way. If you watch after the games, I'm not a big Eagles fan, so I don't know as much as like Cool McCain and Jared and some of the people that follow the team do. But he compliments Kellen Moore. Anytime they have a good game, he's like, oh, good game plan put together by Kellen Moore. He goes out of his way not to mention Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni, he's lucky the team is as good as it is and that they're starting to find their stride, because they want him out of there. But yeah, the Commanders were kind of limited in this game. The Eagles are finally, a couple weeks ago, I think you said, Ryan, we don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Now we know who they are now. They're starting to figure it out.
We're starting to figure. It's week 11. We're starting to figure it out. This is when teams start to figure themselves out, or they quit, like like most of the AFC is this year. My God, wow. This is atrocious. Before we go to the rest of week 11, we have a new sponsor. Oh no, Sticky has laid it on us. The new chic look of Dustin is brought to you by Silky Salons. Always smooth, always silky. And Snow Leopard Nail Salons. No mani-pedis. We do hands and feet. Very good.
I need a haircut. I'm going right after the show, Sid. I'm going right after the show. That's why my hair is down. For you longtime cred heads, every Saturday when my hair is down, it's because I haven't put product in it or done anything with it.
Yeah,
because I know I'm going to get a haircut.
Yeah,
after this.
and I said as soon as I popped in the room today in the green room, I said, "You're going for a haircut, aren't you?"
Yeah.
Dustin's like, "Yep."
yeah.
All right, we're going to talk about what appeals to us in Week 11 of the NFL. Just want to remind everyone who is playing their fantasy leagues, the bye week are teams are as follows: the Cardinals, the first place, the current holders of first place in the NFC West, the Arizona Cardinals. Who saw that coming? The Carolina Trash Kitties, the New York Not So Giants, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, I was like, you can't really go anywhere with this.
I can't go anywhere with that.
That's going to work out well.
No, it's not. This is a family show, damn
it. Yeah.
So we're going to start off with the most intriguing matchup according to what we think they are. And Dustin, I'm going to start with you. Who do you think? Which of these games? And if you look at the schedule,
yeah,
there's some rough games, but there are also some hidden gems. There are some gems in this in this week in the NFL. But go ahead. What's your most intriguing matchup?
Well, again, Ryan, your intriguing matchup is a great pick, and when I saw that you had picked it, I was like, because I was like, I gotta come up with we cannot pick the same game. Hidden gem game. That's Chargers Bengals to me, but I did not pick it for the intriguing matchup because the Bills and Chiefs are playing. And has everyone gotten tired of the Bills and Chiefs? I don't know about everyone, but I'm not. You can't really call it a rivalry because it's been pretty one-sided in the Chiefs' way. The Chiefs have kind of been that person at the top of the mountain that the Buffalo Bills just can't seem to knock off. However, these teams have I wouldn't say a disdain for each other, but they definitely don't like each other either. And, I am excited because the Chiefs defensively, the Chiefs have been great. Okay. And that's going to be one of the things I'm watching in this game is the Chiefs defense going to be able to contain Josh Allen? Is Buffalo's defense who has been steadily getting healthier, but I don't think they reached the level that some of us thought they would this season? Are they going to be able to contain Patrick Mahomes and a recently resurgent Travis Kelce? How is DeAndre Hopkins going to do in this game? He had one game where he wasn't really involved, and then he had another game where he was great in the Chiefs offense. So will he continue to get acclimated? And the same thing on the other side for Amari Cooper. The Bills did not have Amari Cooper the last time they played the Chiefs. And will Amari Cooper change the outcome a little bit? Will he be able to be a game changer? But I think that Chiefs pass rush could be a problem for the Buffalo Bills. But if anyone can knock off the Chiefs and get them to 9-1, I think it could be this game. The Bills are talented enough to do it. I think it's going to be a good one. And with that, I doff my cap to you and say, what is your intriguing matchup?
My most intriguing matchup is a matchup that I like to call the Chalk Line Bowl. The Chalk Line Bowl is the Ravens and the Steelers. And this is going to be an intriguing matchup because it's going to be punch for punch, literally and figuratively speaking. And it's going to come down to, this is, interestingly enough, a very big statistical matchup because the Steelers defense, they're fourth in rushing yards allowed this season. They're going up against the Ravens, who are not only number one in rushing, they're number one in the league total for yards. So that's going to be an intriguing matchup, but I'm also curious to see the pass defense of the Ravens, who are surprisingly, I think they're 28th or 29th in the league.
That shocked me.
But you also got to remember they played Joe Burrow in two of those games where they allowed over 300 yards, lost both games, mind you. And I want to see how they do against a revitalized Russell Wilson. And I know we're not going to be watching most of the games because of the hockey game, but we keep my eye on at least the first half watching Red Zone of this game.
Yeah.
Just to see what happens. And I'll check the scores at the end during the game and whatnot. But this is going to be a fun game. This is going to be a really fun game.
Yeah.
Kevin M asks, he says, do you guys answer to fantasy football start sit? We don't. We're not that. And we just do games we're watching and things that are kind of noticeable to us. We don't really dive deep into the fantasy thing because I don't have time for that.
Yeah, I mean, I will say off of the options you gave me, my instinct says Warren. He seems to be having a slightly larger role in the Steelers offense. But if you really want that answered, reach out to our very own Kevin Wilson in the chat because he is very much a fantasy expert and he'll be able to answer that question for you. Check his articles out on Belly Up Sports as well.
BellyUpFantasySports.com. You got it. That's right. Sick was also saying it seems like Saquon Barkley's finding his run and Jalen Hurts needs to find his stride. But like I said, Sick, it comes back to Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is more of now that he has Saquon Barkley, like a talented guy like Saquon Barkley. This is something this is the thing that the Eagles have been missing since drafting Jalen Hurts is an effective running game and a stud running back. They now have both. So it takes the pressure off of Jalen Hurts and he can just do his things, do the things that he needs to do. And he also says the Commanders are just going through growing pains. Yeah, this is a young team. They're figuring things out. So yeah, this is a team that's kind of figuring things out. They're 7-4. I mean, they're still in a good playoff. They're still in a playoff position. So I think there's definitely be some growing pains. They're a younger team, but they've got some veteran pieces they can work with. And this was just a rough game for them. They're going through a rough patch. So, and plus having to play 2 games in 5 days, again, with the Thursday night schedule. I hate Thursday night games. This is one of the reasons why I hate Thursday night games, because some teams are prepared and some teams aren't. Although they did play very well, but they allowed those 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter that kind of allowed the Eagles to pull away at the end. So, So we're going to dovetail into Desperation City / Bounce Back City. And my Desperation City / Bounce Back City pick this week is Rams Patriots. And this is more so of the Rams because right now we've talked about the NFC West the last couple of weeks and how it is wide open right now. Yeah. Wide open. Yeah. Although the 49ers are starting to find their stride, I think they'll get back to where they were. I don't think they go back to where they were, how dominant they've been the last couple of years, but they're starting to get healthy. They're starting to play well, but the Rams still have a chance. We had Playmaker on Tuesday night. He talked about his disappointment with this team, how they put up only 15 points on 5 field goals, couldn't put the ball in the end zone. Now, in order to keep pace in the division, you have to start scoring points, and you got to do it against a Patriots team that's on a rebuild. No. This could be a bounce back win because we know the Patriots aren't the Patriots, but this is a scrappier team than most people think. Jared Mayo's got his team is playing well under him, and I don't think they'll be a playoff team this year, but they're not going to be the carpet that we all thought they were going to be.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, very early, we can't say these types of things, but they still have Ramondre Stevenson, which I like the way he plays. He's had some fumble problems this year, but he has been good. And Drake May looks to be a good pick at quarterback. He looks like there's a future with him there.
Yep. All right. How about you, Dustin? Who's your bounce back or Desperation City game this week to watch?
Well, this is a place where honestly I could have picked my Seahawks, but I was like, I can't do it again. So to avoid the Homer alert siren, I picked, and because I started thinking about it, and I talked a little bit about this in one way on Tuesday's shows, but I'm picking the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears have to win this game against the Packers. I don't think they will, but they have to save their season. They just let Shane Waldron go. We'll see if that provides, a little bit of a spark on offense because they've looked inept on offense. The Bears defense has been regressing, although they are not the problem with this team. A lot of the offensive weapons that we thought, it's just that Caleb Williams so far, it hasn't really worked out with him getting some of them the ball. They've had some injuries, etc. DeAndre Swift. The Bears have some weapons to make this a close game, but I don't think it'll happen. But this is a game that they need to win to have any prayer of keeping their season alive, because look who else is in the division. You got the surprising Minnesota Vikings, who some could argue are the surprise of this NFL season. Even with their recently not as great play, they're still in play for this division. You got the Detroit Lions, who look like the class of the NFC right now. The Eagles may have something to say about that later in the season, but for right now, nobody's topping the Detroit Lions. And then you got the Packers, who are right in there. So this division is too competitive. If the Bears do not win this game, their season's over, and they have to blow this thing up. I mean, I don't know what else. I would say Eberflus is probably next to go.
He's gonna flus himself. Anywho, on to the self-hatred game of the week.
Ready? And pull! Trash!
Let's talk about the utter trash heaps of games that we have on tap for this week. But we've got one. We've each got a game that we are avoiding like the plague. And Dustin, I'm going to start with you. Which game are you avoiding this week at all costs?
The game that I'm avoiding, and like you said, unfortunately, there's a lot. There's a lot. Like this slate of NFL matchups doesn't exactly inspire which means for sure that some game will be the most entertaining game of the week for both of us on Tuesday, and we'll have no idea. It won't be either of the ones that we picked. But I'm going Saints versus the Browns. I mean, come on. This game, both teams are reeling. Both teams, this game has no stakes. Both teams are hopelessly, like, there's no way the Browns are going to contend for a playoff spot. Same for the Saints in the NFC, even though they're in the crazy NFC South, both the Falcons or the Bucks are taking that division. There's not a world where the Saints are going to take this. The Saints lost one of their main offensive weapons, Chris Olave. This is just, I mean, Derek Carr is back, so the Saints are probably going to look a little better than they have. Alvin Kamara is still fun to watch. He has not lost it, but there's just not much to get behind on this game, other than the fact that I continue to be awed by Nick Chubb. Shout out to him. I haven't really gotten into it on this show, and I think I should have. The fact that he's even back after the injury that he suffered is pretty amazing. So shout out to you, Nick Chubb. But other than that, I'm not watching the Browns for anything. I mean, you want to see Jameis Winston heave it up a bunch of times to Cedric Tillman, more power to you, but there's not much to like about this game. And I know you've got a game that's equally as vomit-inducing, Ryan, so I leave it to you.
Oh, no. This is not equally. I think this is more vomit-inducing. No, I did not pick Jets-Colts. I picked Raiders-Dolphins, which back in the day used to be an absolute barn burner because Raiders and the Dolphins were I'm talking like back in the 1970s. Like if you go back in the NFL history archives, take a look at some of those games in the 1970s between the Raiders and the Dolphins. Those are some great games. Great games. But these days, not so much. Because the Dolphins' offense is punchless. The Raiders' offense just as punchless. It's just they're pathetic. They gotta blow that up and start over again. I think for as much as I fought for Antonio Pierce, I think he's been completely overwhelmed this year by the fact that they're lacking a quarterback between Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. Neither guys are doing it. They're not getting it done. Lack of a run game, lack of receivers. Like I can't name a receiver on that team. I would say Devontae Adams, but now he's with the Jets and he's he's doing whatever his thing is. But this is just an awful matchup, and a lot of these 1 o'clock games. We're not another week where we've got a lot of 1 p.m. games and only 3 o'clock. Only 3 games that are after 4 p.m. Yeah. And I hate this type of schedule. I hate it.
Yeah.
So much. I'm gonna play that hate. Yeah, I hate. This is how much I hate it. I hate it so much. Where is it? Where is it?
Oh,
there it is.
Oh man, hate.
Player haters ball, baby. Oh man.
Next person who talks getting shot.
Silky. Or no, was it Silky Johnson? I can't remember.
Dave Chappelle was Silky Johnson.
Silky Johnson, but who was Charlie Murphy? I can't remember his name because I think he's the one that
Nasty.
said that.
It was Buck
Nasty.
Nasty.
Yeah, Buck Nasty. Yeah, he said the next person that talks is getting shot. Oh man.
Man, you corny. Oh man, let's go on with this, but we've got the rest of the show to do. Players to watch on offense. I'm gonna start off with this one. I have my eye on Sam Darnold, and I'll tell you why I have my eye on Sam Darnold. It's because he's starting to come down to earth.
Yeah,
a little bit. He's been showing that that propensity to throw an ill-timed interception, to try to throw a ball in tight windows, like he did when he was on the Jets, like he did when he was on the Panthers. Can't really say to an extent on the 49ers because we only saw him for 1 year and he only played in 1 game. But he's starting to show his flaws, right? So showed it last week against. I mean, the Vikings beat the Vikings beat the Jaguars last week by a score of 12-7.
Yeah,
this is an offense that was scoring in the 20s and the 30s. Well, for the first bunch of games this season, and now they're 7-2, and they're starting to become the frauds that they were a couple of years ago when they were they were the worst 13-4 team ever. They're starting to show that again, and I think Sam Darnold is taking a step back a little bit. That's just my humble opinion. And now he's going up against a Titans defense, which is pretty good. You know, even with the record that they have, they're still a pretty good defense. So that's my player to watch this week. What about you, Dustin? Who are you watching on offense this week?
Well, if you were wondering when is he going to fit the Seahawks into the show, the time is now.
Homer alert!
Abraham Lucas is returning to the offensive line for the Seattle Seahawks, and DK Metcalf is also supposed to return for this game. So those are the two that I'm going to be watching because I am not looking forward to this game. Kevin Wilson asked earlier in the show, how do you feel about, the Seahawks playing the 49ers? This game could go real sideways for the Seahawks, and the Seahawks are also in the position, if they want to keep pace in the NFC West and have any shot, they need to win this game. But again, I do not think it is going to happen. But Abraham Lucas, will his return to the offensive line aid the offensive line and give them the opportunity to open running holes for Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet? And will they be able to protect Geno Smith at all? This is the same offensive line that gave up eight sacks, 8 or 9, I can't remember which, to the New York Giants. Now, the New York Giants, the defensive line has been one of the strong points to the year. The Giants wanted to generate a pass rush in the offseason, and they've done that. It's one of the few things that they got right with their signings and free agency and things like that. But still, I am afraid, and I am looking for any sign that the Seahawks will be able to protect Geno in this game at all. And I'm wondering if Abraham Lucas, I mean, a few seasons ago when they were both drafted, one of the last seasons that Carroll was coaching the team, Abraham Lucas and Charles Cross did a lot to stabilize that offensive line, but they have been oft injured over the past. Especially, we can ask Kevin, we can ask Staniel. They know. We can ask Bronco the same as well. Anybody who's a Seahawks fan knows how often Abraham Lucas and Charles Cross have been injured, and I want to see if this has any impact on the game. And also, DK's return speaks for itself. How will it impact the recent emergence of Jackson Smith-Njigba, who played very well when Geno was out, when DK was out of the lineup, rather. But will adding DK back into this offense at least give them some prayer against the 49ers? I don't think so, but it's wishful thinking. I'm the king of wishful thinking for this game.
I forgot who's the artist who sang that song.
I know. I don't know. I was gonna do it. I was gonna say it, but I can't.
West.
Oh, okay. All right.
But not to add to your concern about. Well, unfortunately, I have to add to your concern about the offensive line, because late yesterday afternoon Eastern time, the Seahawks announced that center Connor Williams retired. So they'll be starting Oluwatimi as at center in the lineup going forward. So, not to add to your concern, but your concern.
yeah. Oh man, but how about you, Ryan? Hopefully you have a more uplifting pick for player to watch on offense.
Oh, I already disclosed mine, but I picked Sam Darnold, but
oh yeah, that's right. Jeez. I am like shaken. I am like shaken by the fear of Fred Warner. But
maybe need a Pop-Tart.
But okay, so let me set it up for you then. Who is your pick on defense? Since I let off last time, since you let off first time, I'll let you lead off again because I've been talking a lot this show.
Well, I got to play the element first.
I can't have him locked up. He's important to the defense.
All right, so player to watch on defense. For me, I mean, kind of the same vein I had on offense. I'm watching Sam Darnold to see how he does against the Titans defense. I want to see what the Titans secondary does against the Viking, against Sam Darnold. And they've got some, like I said, even though they are a train wreck this season on offense, their defense has been keeping them in games. And I forgot who their star cornerback is. Well, I'll double check real quick. L'Jarius needs out, but they also have Condre Diggs. Well, Condre Diggs on the IR, but yeah, the players I'm watching on defense is the Titans secondary, because I want to see if they can I want to see if the front seven can force the issue on Sam Darnold to make those ill-timed throws that we all know and love him for. I saw it plenty of times as a Jets fan. I want to see what they can do. So yeah, those are my players to watch. That's my unit to watch on defense, at least. Who's your player to watch on defense this week?
Well, I'm gonna throw it back to your game for the most intriguing matchup. And people are gonna say this is a cop-out pick by him. What the hell is he doing? But I'm picking TJ Watt because I want to see the Steelers defense. The Steelers, I said it to one of my bosses who's a Steelers fan. I said the Steelers are the best 7-win team that nobody's talking about right now. Their defense is legit, and I want to see, because I know TJ Watt will impact the game somehow, because he always does, but going up against the Ravens, you got multiple things to worry about now. In past years, when you were facing the Ravens, you're like, all right, we got to contain Lamar, and they don't really have that much of a running attack, so we can kind of lock down their receivers and just focus on containing Lamar, which didn't always work, but that was the game plan to attack the Ravens offense. But this year, you got Derrick Henry in the backfield, my cousin. He's back there, and I got to get some tips from him about leg day, because my word. But how how will they be able to? How will TJ Watt impact this game somehow? Because he is a one-man wrecking crew, similar to the way that Fred Warner is for the San Francisco 49ers. He always seems to find a way to put his fingerprint on the game. But this game is going to be a tough task for TJ Watt and the Steelers defense, but I want to see how they do. But specifically, I know TJ Watt's going to do something where he puts his fingerprint on the game, and I'll be excited to see what it is.
So I did some research. I found it. I found Ben Shapiro's impression of Mike Tyson. It's. I'll share it. We'll go we'll wrap up the show with the comments in just a second. But I gotta play this. This is delightful.
This clip is one of my favorite clips of all time. So Mike Tyson was about to fight Jake Paul in another one of these sort of made for.
Oh wait, dang it! Wait, hang on.
Okay. A little bit of real-time setup.
Our legacy is nothing.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. That is something that I have not heard before. Someone say that as an answer.
Can you really imagine somebody say, I want my legacy to be this way when you're dead? You think somebody really wants to think about you? I want people to think about me when I'm gone. Who the cares about me when I'm gone?
And I love the hopeful 12-year-old just having her dreams crushed. And that's why I'm quoting you. Ecclesiastes 3:20. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Everything in life there's a time. Everything in life there's a season. For living, for dying. We don't mean nothing. We're all gonna die someday anyway. Sun's gonna explode. Eat all plants. Ain't nobody gonna be around to remember you then. We're just explaining something. If you ever read some Marcus Aurelius, and let me tell you about the Stoics. So the Roman Stoics. Because let me explain. Love it. Love it. More of this. Mike Tyson on philosophy would be. I would listen to that show every day. That'd be amazing. I'm going to explain to you how a little bit of Augustine, what he was saying about the city of God. I want it. I want him on Sarge. Existentialism. Let me tell you about existentialism. The idea that you don't mean nothing. If you walking around a cold, empty universe on a rock, on a godforsaken rock, and all you got is your will, how you react to that. That's life, man. And then you die and don't mean nothing. I'm pitching this show for Daily Wire Plus. I am Mike Tyson on philosophy. 10 out of 10. Love it.
He's got like the lisp down.
Yeah, he's got the lisp, but I think he has the same kind of vocal tonage of that Mike Tyson has. They have the same baritone vocals.
Yeah, the same pitch there.
Man. Pitch. All right, we're going to go through the comments real quick before we get out of here. Sick to you saying, I think Kyler Murray should focus on playing Madden NFL to get his head in the game. Listen, we've crapped on Kyler Murray the last couple of years. I know crunch is required. I have to give him his respect. I have to give him his flowers for this, how he's doing this season. Yeah. He's keeping the Cardinals in games this season, especially over the last month. He's been playing very impressive. I have to give him his flowers. Yeah. I can't dog him because of his past history wanting to play Call of Duty instead of focusing on game film. But this season he's been performing pretty well, so I can't give him any crap.
You can't argue with his decision making, and I am not on the level of Rye Stradamus over here, okay? But I did tell y'all that this was going to happen. I said now that the Cardinals have Kyler Murray for a full season, watch out for him because Jonathan Gannon's going to have him ready to go. And here they are in first place.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Kevin's saying that Saints Browns is a good pick for a dog game. I didn't notice you say anything about my dog game there.
You spelled that wrong though, Kevin. We could have had a nice
D-A-W-G.
Yeah, you did that.
He also says there's likely more Jameson interceptions than total game TDs. Possibly.
Could be. We'll could be.
Sick giving us the lineup of the player haters ball. Silky Johnson played by David Chappelle. Buck Nasty by Charlie Murphy. Beautiful by Darnell Rawlings and Pitbull from the Actually, two of these guys on this list have left this realm. Yeah. Charlie Murphy, he passed away a few years ago, and Patrice O'Neal didn't. He was also in The Office.
Yeah.
He passed away a few years after that sketch. So
yeah.
Yeah, two of those guys in the list have left this realm. Julie from Michigan saying, hey, hi also. Hey, Julie, how are you? Glad you can make it.
Yeah.
Kevin M saying, God forsaken rock. But yeah. And he also says Elise Shapiro wasn't quoting the Quran. People forget Mike Tyson's Muslim. I didn't forget Mike Tyson was Muslim. I knew that. He converted when he was in prison. So
yep.
Great impression very good impression by Ben Shapiro. He could have though. I mean, he probably knows his way around Quran because having to study because of his Judaic roots. But hey, we'll give it to him. But we're gonna get out of here. We got some things to enjoy this afternoon. But before we do that, we just want to remind you, please give us a follow on social media, facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, @NoCredsREQ, youtube.com /@NoCredsREQ, and subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe on your preferred podcast platform, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora, and please don't forget to get notified. Hit that notification bell on Twitter and on YouTube so you know when we go live or we post new videos. Also on the podcast side, rate and review. A 5-star rating would help. A review would help if you can leave a review. A comment if you're subscribed on Spotify, leave a comment. These all help the show. And whether you're watching live, thank you for everyone who's been tuning in live.
Yeah.
Whether it be Kevin M, Kevin Wilson, Sick Diggy, Julie, all y'all. Thanks for leaving comments. Again, they help grow the show. If you're watching on replay, leave us a comment there, whether on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, or on Rumble, which I'm going to post at 12:30 today. Leave a comment. Unless you're a thirsty hoe looking for work. No.
We get a lot of likes. We get a lot of likes on a lot of people liking our posts on Instagram, and it's almost always
it's always thirsty hoe Instagram model hoes saying, "Hey, look at my page. I'm 64. You're clearly not 64."
Yeah.
And no, I'm not going to click on your OnlyFans link. You also got the promotion hoes too, so don't forget about them. Saying, "I can promote your brand. We're poor."
Yeah.
We're going to get out of here, but thanks for tuning in to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press. Oh, we got a late incoming comment from Dave Eagles Champ 34 saying Eagles best team in the NFC.
They're on their way up, but I disagree with you, sir. I say it's the Lions still.
It is the Lions, yeah. Until you beat them, it's the Lions. Anyway, we're going to get out of here. No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. We'll be back at 7:05 Eastern on Tuesday, talking about the rest of Week 11 in the NFL. So until then, have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
Ryan, I'll see you at the hockey game tomorrow. And good morning, everybody. I couldn't do it. I tried. I forgot the lisp. All right.